In late January 1959, 9 experienced hikers set out on a winter expedition through the Ural Mountains in the Soviet Union. They were young, confident, and trained to survive some of the harshest conditions on Earth. The group was led by Igor Dyatlov, a respected engineering student with years of hiking experience. Nothing about the trip suggested danger beyond the extreme cold. They planned to return by mid-February. When no word came back, families initially assumed delays were normal. Days passed, then weeks. Eventually, a search party was sent into the mountains. The rescuers found the group's tent on a snowy slope. What disturbed them immediately was that the tent had been cut open from the inside. Personal belongings, shoes, and heavy coats were left behind. It looked like the hikers had fled suddenly and without preparation. Footprints led away from the tent toward a nearby forest. Some prints were barefoot, others in socks, heading straight into sub-zero darkness. The temperature that night was estimated to be below -30 degrees Celsius. No rational person would willingly leave shelter in those conditions. The first 2 bodies were found near a tree at the forest's edge. They were barefoot, wearing only underwear, with signs they had tried to make a fire. Their hands were badly burned. Experts believe they were alive long enough to feel the cold and pain. 3 more bodies were found between the forest and the campsite. Their positions suggested they were trying to crawl back toward the tent. Autopsies said these 5 died from hypothermia, but the injuries on their bodies raised disturbing questions. Some had bruises, fractured skulls, and internal bleeding. These injuries were severe but showed no external wounds. Later, 4 more bodies were found buried deep under snow in a ravine. Their injuries were far worse than the others. One man had crushed ribs on both sides of his chest. Another had a fractured skull comparable to a car accident. Even more unsettling, some clothing tested positive for radiation. No explanation was ever given for how it got there. The Soviet government sealed the area immediately. Officials told families the hikers died due to a compelling natural force. The case files were classified. Witnesses were warned not to speak publicly. Locals reported seeing strange lights in the sky that same night. Some believed it was military testing. Others suspected infrasound, a low-frequency sound known to cause panic and hallucinations. This theory suggests the hikers felt terror without understanding why. Another theory claims a small avalanche forced them to flee. But experts argue the evidence doesn't fully support this. Before you scroll away, make sure to finish this video. The most disturbing detail of this true story isn't what happened at the beginning. It's what investigators still refuse to explain until today. The slope angle was too gentle. The tent was still partially standing. No avalanche debris covered the campsite, and it doesn't explain the internal injuries. Years later, researchers re-examined photos from the trip. One image appears to show a dark figure in the distance. The film roll from their last night ends abruptly. There is no photo showing what scared them. Survivors' journals describe normal conditions earlier that day. No mention of fear or danger appears. Something changed during the night, something sudden and overwhelming. The most terrifying part is not how they died, it's why they ran. Every piece of evidence suggests panic. But panic without a visible threat makes no sense. People don't cut their way out of tents in freezing darkness without reason. They don't abandon safety unless terror overrides logic. Some experts believe they were chased. Others believe they were driven out by something unseen. If this story already made you uncomfortable, stay until the end, because the final clues change everything. And if you enjoy true horror stories that really happened, like the video, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Families of the victims say they still feel something is being hidden. The truth may never be fully revealed. The Dyatlov Pass has since become a forbidden place. Hikers report unease, sudden panic, and unexplained sounds. Some say the mountain itself feels hostile. Locals call it Dead Mountain for a reason. The victims were not inexperienced. They were not reckless. They did everything right, and they still died. What haunts researchers most is the silence. No screams, no struggle, no evidence of attack. Just 9 people fleeing into the cold, as if something invisible told them to run, and whatever it was never followed.